Welcome to this week's episode of our Aviation Marketing Podcast. We've been asked by many people to do just a real simple do's and don'ts for digital marketing. We've done a lot of articles about various aspects of digital marketing, and it is a really complex field. But if we were to boil it down to just the do's and don'ts, that's what we're doing today, right?
Okay.
Okay.
These are the major items.
These are the major items.
Not all the little
nuances and tactics and factors and
what did they say?
Minutia.
The minutia.
The minutia, right. That's what Rocket says in Guardians of the Galaxy. And if you have not seen that movie, you should.
That's right.
Okay. When people sell more, they have more control of their lives and their companies, and a full pipeline is the key to happiness, right?
I mean, I'm pretty flexible, but I can't read your mind.
You can't read my mind?
I've never been able to do that.
Dang. I've been working on that for a while now. Okay. All right, so today's agenda is just do's and don'ts, and we put them kind of into three main categories at your insistence.
Of course.
Plan, execution, and measure. So do's and don'ts around each of those areas of digital marketing. But first, a joke.
Yeah. So you can read this on the screen if you can't. I will read it. A German Shepherd, a Doberman, and a cat have died. All three are faced with God, who wants to know what they believe in. The German Shepherd obviously says, I believe in discipline, training, and loyalty to my master. Good, says God, then sit down on my right side. Doberman, what do you believe in? I believe in the love, care, and protection of my master. Outstanding, you sit to my left. Then he looks at the cat and asks, and what do you believe in?
And we'll tell you in just a moment. But first, this episode is brought to you by our Aviation Lead Generator. Our Aviation Lead Generator is our newest product, and we were never able to offer this product in the history of the Earth until now because the technology didn't exist. Quite frankly, we didn't have a CRM that we felt good enough about that we can install it for a client and configure it and train their people and make it work.
And be on call to help.
Exactly. And be on call to help, because a CRM is just an empty piece of software, and it doesn't do anything until you get it programmed and working the way you want it to. And there are so many people who are spending so much money on software that they are not using, or not using right, or not using fully. And so we really want to prevent that because it is really important to have a good customer relationship management system, and to have that running properly in order to sell more of your products and services, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So download the Marketing Automation Playbook from our website, and it will tell you more about marketing automation and the things that you can do and why you would want to do them, and a lot of the benefits of making that happen. All right, so now back to our joke.
And the cat responds to God, I believe you're sitting in my seat.
And this actually is relevant because we'll see this cat later in this presentation, right?
And if you know cats, you completely understand, if not agree.
Right. This is why I am a dog person, right? The dogs will do, a dog will literally do anything you want it to do as long as it understands what you want. And that's usually where the trouble comes in, right? Cats just don't care what you want. They have no interest. They train
the humans. They don't go the other way.
Dogs have people. Cats have staff. Right? Okay. So the reason that we're doing this is because a full pipeline is the key to independence and happiness, right? And so being able to do digital marketing the right way and not wasting a lot of time and money on it, which is easy to do, is really where we're going with this. What we want for ourselves and our clients is the freedom to refuse any particular project, or client for any reason, right?
Exactly.
And the prosperity to treat their clients, team, and family very, very well.
Of course.
Of course, that's what we all want. Digital marketing will get you there. At least it can be a really important part of getting you there, but only if you do it right.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start with the plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're once again going to kind of divide this into do's and don'ts. So the biggest problem that we see with digital marketing is what we call random acts of marketing.
Oh, they're everywhere.
And digital marketing kind of encourages this because it is so fast and so cheap in a lot of cases that people just start doing stuff before they plan it out or before they really understand their objectives or understand the tools or understand any of the factors that go into this. So it's not that digital marketing is bad, it's just that it is so easy that people tend to fall into this trap either by just hiring an intern or somebody who doesn't really understand the business and setting them loose on the digital marketing without having them be part of the business strategy and other things. Or just by jumping in with both feet into all of the digital media or one particular digital media because you've heard it's cool and doing this shiny object syndrome where you just get really excited about this particular tool and you've heard that it works really well for somebody and you just have to do Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever because somebody else is making a lot of money doing it without understanding their plan or their strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so do's. What you want to do is you want to target your most profitable audience first. You don't want to just spam everybody on social media, right? And say, well, Facebook has millions and millions of people, so I'm just going to target everybody. I'm just going to boost my posts to a really general audience and throw money at this and see what happens. That really doesn't work very well. You want to make sure that you're targeting your most profitable audience by as many factors as you can.
You probably throw a lot of money at doing that.
Oh, yeah. You're going to segment those audiences by product, then by interest, reason that they're interested in that product. Is it because of the convenience? Is it because of the lack of headaches? Is it because of the price? What is their particular interest? Mm-hmm. Are they the CEO? Are they the CTO? Are they the CFO? Each of those people is going to have a different reason for wanting your product and doesn't care, your CFO doesn't care how convenient it is. Your CEO doesn't care how much it costs. Just to give an example.
Go forth and make it so.
Exactly. There you go. So you want to segment your audiences as much as you possibly can by their persona, by their interest, by their demographics, by any of those kinds of things that you can. Another thing you want to do is you want to grab your name on all platforms. And basically, we just made a list of the most important things that you should do for each of these items, right?
Not getting into the minutia.
Not getting into the minutia. So the reason you would want to grab your name on all of these platforms, whether you want to use it or not, is because you might want to use it in the future.
Exactly.
And it takes very little time to, and usually either very little or no money. It takes, $9 a year to register a domain name these days?
Yes.
And it's usually free to grab your name on any of the social media channels, or your company name or whatever variation you can. So whether you're going to use it or not, you can just put a billboard out there or a business card or whatever and just let it sit until you decide, or unless you decide to use it at some point in the future. And that prevents somebody else from getting johnwilliams.com or whatever. And that sort of thing. Okay, and then the last thing, the most important of these things really is to set a 90-day objective. So we like 90 days because it's a good chunk of time. It's short enough to see where you're going and to be super motivated to make things work and to have daily activities toward that 90-day objective. Mm-hmm. But it is long enough to give it time to work, right? Social media is just like anything else. People think it's instant and magic, and it is in the sense of getting ads out, but you're still dealing with people who are not instant and magic. They need to hear things more than one time before they act on it, right? Okay.
Even with postcards, you need more than one.
Absolutely. So 90-day objectives are a really good way to make sure you're giving it enough time, right, to account for human nature and all that. Okay, so execute. Do's and don'ts around executing your social media or your digital marketing strategy. Don't. Please don't.
Well, when it comes to LinkedIn,
Mm.
um,
This is one of your pet peeves, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, you agree to link to somebody and they start spamming you every day automatically without even listening. So I get rid of them.
Right. So they haven't even looked at your profile, or they just start sending you email because you connected to them on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. See, and that's what tells you it's automated, because they don't know what company he works for, what his job is, anything else. They just start sending
I'm not going there. I just...
not targeted email, right?
Nope.
Or messages, personal messages on LinkedIn. That's become really prevalent. I think there's been a book or two published, and there are a couple of people selling software that does this. And honestly, in aviation, we have such a small market that you really can't afford to turn off that market with bad automation.
Right.
It makes you look bad, and it's coming from you personally. So they associate that with, this person's an idiot. They don't understand what I do. They don't know or care about me. They're just trying to sell me something, and that is not the reputation you want. Okay. The second thing you don't ever want to do, that we see an awful lot of, unfortunately, is run pay-per-click or Google Adwords campaigns on Autopilot. They just
good way to spend money.
Yeah, they just set up an automatic budget. They take all the defaults in the software. To be honest, Google's objective is not to sell your product. Google's objective is to sell you more advertising.
And to make money.
And to make money. So
we've actually got clients in the past that were spending more money on Google AdWords than they ended up spending on us.
On everything we did for them.
On everything we did for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a better result from working with us than they did with the AdWords.
Absolutely. That is not unusual at all. So
once we proved it to them, they were astounded. They couldn't believe it.
Right. And a lot of, people say, well, I'm working with a professional from Google, or a Google ad consultant or something like that, or I'm having it optimized. I'm using software to optimize my ad spend.
Of course.
What they're doing is they're optimizing your ad spend to get more views of your ads, which is good, but it doesn't equate to more sales of your product.
Right.
So they will run a less effective ad that makes them more money rather than selling your product. I know it's a fine distinction, but it is a distinction, right?
It may be a fine distinction, but the ramifications are immense.
Exactly. So there are ways and means to run Google AdWords. They're great for selling empty legs or filling seats at events, or doing things that need to be done that are super time sensitive. They're probably one of the best ways to do some of that kind of marketing. There's also some things with Facebook that have gotten almost as good lately as far as the targeting and things. But I'm not saying that AdWords are bad or that PPC is bad. It's just that
when you use them is the key.
Exactly, and running them on Autopilot is
not the thing
a great way to spend a lot of money really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last thing is to build an audience and then stop abruptly without redirecting them. So let's say you collect a lot of leads by doing some activity, some digital activity. Like you do something that is getting you a whole bunch of followers and it's doing a really good job, but then you don't do anything to convert those followers into buyers.
We had clients do that for a while.
Right. You can't deposit in the bank the number of likes that you get on a Facebook post, right?
Would that you could.
Would that you could. So, if you are doing something that is getting you a lot of engagement and a lot of followers and a lot of great activity on digital marketing, you have to take the next step and you have to sell them something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So those are the don'ts about execution. I love that word, execution. That sounds so bloodthirsty.
Medieval.
Medieval, right. Okay. So what you do want to do, the do's for execution, you want to extend your content from your website, which is usually the first place that you publish anything.
Probably should be.
Right, because that protects your intellectual property and it establishes it as part of your brand and it does all of those wonderful things. but you want to extend that content onto at least one platform and get really good at that one platform. So for you, that's LinkedIn, right?
Well,
that's your favorite social media platform?
I don't know that I have a favorite, but it's the one I'm willing to use.
It's your least objectionable social media platform. John's not a fan of social media, so.
I don't deny that it has its place, but I don't think it has its place that a lot of people think it does.
That's true. Okay, so, but you do want to extend your content onto at least one platform because it gives you an opportunity to reach your audience in a whole new way, and in ways that you couldn't possibly do with your website. These guys specialize in engagement and getting comments and getting likes and those kinds of things. So you get to use that expertise and all of the money and time and everything else that they have invested in that software for free, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no reason not to take advantage of that, that I can see, especially if it is the platform that most of your customers are most likely to use, right?
Right.
So you can look at the numbers of Facebook or LinkedIn or the other platforms and figure out. You might want to also look at your competitors and see which are doing the most on which platform, because they've done some research.
Yes, they have.
Okay. All right. And then you also want to plan your time and build good routines around social media. We had a whole podcast about a great routine for a salesperson on social media, things that you can do once a day or once a week or once a month to extend your network and to build new leads and everything else. So you want to establish a good routine that works for you. And you want to stay disciplined, right? Because it is so easy to fall into those cat videos and other funny things that are going on social media, or pictures of your grandkids and other things, which is also fantastic. I mean, I love it.
But you burn a lot of time.
But you burn a lot of time. So you want to do the work first, eat your vegetables first, then you can have dessert, right? Then you can watch the cat videos after you get all your objectives accomplished and checked off. Okay. All right, so let's talk about measuring. Don'ts for measuring. Don't assume that everything will always be the same. If you're assuming everything is always the same, then you're still advertising on MySpace. So what happened to MySpace anyway?
It just sort of faded away.
It faded into oblivion. And you know why it faded into oblivion?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Because the advertising was so obnoxious. It was irrelevant. They were doing weight loss commercials and Viagra and God knows what all to everybody, regardless of gender, age, any demographics or anything else. And it was irrelevant and it was intrusive. So a lot of people complain about Facebook advertising, but it actually is possible to do Facebook advertising in a very targeted, very relevant and very useful sort of way if the content that you provide is quality and you target it to people who are most likely to be interested in it. But the other thing is that Facebook did a much better job of segmentation and getting engagement using its software than MySpace ever did. And MySpace just refused to adapt and went the way of the dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. Every digital marketing platform that we are using today in 2019 is going to adapt or die by next year or the year after. That's just the way of the world. So it used to be that aviation companies could set up their advertising and run it the same way year after year after year, go to the same shows, do the same magazines, do their thing, and keep getting customers year after year. It is not that way anymore. The shows have changed. The demographics of the shows have changed. The rates have gone up.
Oh, good grief, yes.
The demographics of the magazines have changed. A lot of them have gone under. Mm-hmm. And social media is the same. You've got digital marketing opportunities. Retargeting is a new technology. You've got email opportunities that you didn't have before. You've got customized content. You've got all kinds of opportunities that you didn't have even a year or 2 years or 5 years ago. So you want to be taking advantage of the latest technology and not being stuck in the past.
One would hope.
Right, exactly. Okay, so what you want to do, this is how you keep track of all this and adapt gracefully without just going after the latest shiny object, right? You want to use tools like SEMrush or SharpSpring. to measure your performance against your 90-day objectives. So in SharpSpring, you can look at your visitors from your website, or even visitors to a particular page, or contributors to a particular campaign, or people who have bought in the last year, and figure out if they came from Facebook or Twitter, or the most unlikely places. Sometimes you find things going up and down depending on the month or the day or the week. And if you see those trends occurring over time, you want to adapt accordingly and put more time and money into the things that are working.
Cool.
Okay. And then you want to set new objectives for the next 90 days. And once again, we're saying 90 days because you can't do the same thing forever, right? Won't just keep working like it used to.
Nope.
But it is long enough to see.
And measure.
And measure, exactly. Okay. So if you would like to have some of this automated for you, we have a really good solution that we weren't able to offer at any time in history. And that is our Aviation Lead Generator. This is a new product this year. We have powered our old lead generator program, which was content and emails and other kinds of things, and we're powering that with SharpSpring, which is a CRM system that we provide to you. We set it up for you, we import your contacts into it, we put the content into it, we set up some of those triggers and some of those automated.
Teach you how to use it.
We show you how to use it, and we show you how to read those results and measure.
If you have questions, you can give us a call.
Absolutely. Right. If you have questions, and I assume everybody does because marketing automation has changed so much in the last couple of years, you can download the Marketing Automation Playbook from our website, and or schedule a consultation with us to talk about your specific situation or what's going on, what your competitors are doing, social media you'd like to investigate, or wonder whether it's worth the time, or wonder whether this consultant you're working with is wasting your money, or whatever questions you have. We can look into that and run some of our metrics against it and see what we can share with you.
We can give you a broad overview of what's really going on.
Exactly. So click the gold button on our website, schedule 30 minutes with us, and we'll be happy to sit down with you and help you sell more of your products and services.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.
Have a great day.